Awesome. Tina Lynn gives it a 100. Dee Dee Myers a 50. Dave Bob a 100. I wonder. I hate to ask this question, but I feel like I have to. Do you think that the return of Carrie Fisher, or Princess Leia, excuse me, the return of Princess Leia in Star Wars in the future, do you think that's more possible or more likely because Princess Leia is indeed a female?
I think so. And to kind of go back and shoot on what Kingdom 101 was saying, I'm in agreement with him somewhat on his statement on that. But if her daughter and her family really want her character to live on in this, and they want it, I would also be for them to actually do it because her family and her daughter and stuff wants it.
Right.
I think it should be left. I think the decision should be left to them on whether or not Princess Leia's character.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire, messages that forge brighter connections, and emails that get the job done, you need to think about more than just grammar and spelling. This sentence is grammatically correct, but it's wordy and hard to read. It undermines the writer's message, and the word choice is bland. Grammarly's cutting-edge
2019.
This is your daily news report. Your third stimulus check update and your stimulus package update as of Tuesday, January 2nd.
A lot of you are already going to know this, but it's going to be a great discussion. So Han Solo here becomes a family man after the events of Return of the Jedi. He makes an appearance in Battlefront 2 gaining Imperial intel at Tekadona Castle. In aftermath of Life Debt, Han and Chewbacca lead an attack on Imperial-held Kashyyyk and regain control of the planet. Chewbacca and Han part ways to be with their families, though they remain friends. Han is next seen leading the leading public pilot's commission and doubting his role as Ben's father in the novel Last Shot. Though his carefree and adventurous nature keeps him yearning for more, luckily Lando visits to take him on a secret mission, though Han eventually longs to return home. He cannot stay there for long. Years pass, and it is revealed in Scorched, a tie-in novel to Bloodline, that Han races starships and owns a successful shipping company for a living. He no longer lives with Leia. Oh, I can't stand reading it, dude.
Yeah.
But he's consistently in touch with her. After Ben becomes Kylo Ren, Han is distraught and returns to smuggling with Chewbacca. Han, who lost the Millennium Falcon, I can't read it. I can't do it.
So stupid.
I can't do it.
Story on these characters. And I read a very good comment in one of our videos that said you cannot build on the future by destroying
I hope you're having a very nice day.
Yesterday
evening, President Biden met with the Republican senators who proposed a smaller stimulus package. Similar to Biden's plan, the proposal for the senators includes billions of dollars for COVID testing and vaccine distribution.
I just can't finish it. So let's get into the odds, and Nick, you kind of shoot on it and tell us what you think. Do you think we're going to see any type of Han Solo in any of these shows?
Additionally,
And for whatever reason, I've got my answer.
Percentage-wise, I say there's 70% chance we'll see him in
at the current rate of $300 a week through June
70%
30th.
chance.
In Biden's plan,
I give it about
the federal unemployment benefits increased to
40%
$400 a
chance
week
in range
until
of
the end
the
of September.
Yeah.
According to Senator Susan
like a 10%
Collins,
chance
the
in-
2-hour
so
meeting
probably
was a
less.
very good exchange.
Right.
She said, "I wouldn't say
Elsa
that we
Christina
came
says
together
that
on a
the Emperor,
package
that dude
tonight,
died in Return of
but
the
we did
Jedi,
agree
period."
to follow
I
up
agree.
and talk further."
Hey, I'll be right back.
Collins did not
Okay, that's
provide
fine.
details.
And interestingly enough, Elsa, you are absolutely correct.
There are no
If,
further
in
details
fact,
that I can
these
tell you.
alternate realities are happening,
Regarding President Biden's $1.9
because the one that the
trillion
majority of us are going to
package,
recognize
the
is
congressional
the
Democrats are
alternate
trying to make
reality.
progress as quickly as
And
possible.
we're about to get into that. I
Yesterday,
can't
Nancy
wait to
Pelosi
get
and Chuck
into
Schumer
that.
both
guys.
filed a joint budget
Let's
resolution,
see.
which is the prep
Justice
work
for
that is
Han, Tim
necessary to pass
Myers,
the $1.9 trillion stimulus package.
Han maybe,
as a
but not
reconciliation
Ford,
bill.
which will be sad.
Chuck
Dave
Schumer,
Bob,
the
but
leader of the Democrats
yeah,
in the Senate,
I'm-
also rejected the stimulus
with you,
proposal
man.
from the 10 Republican senators
You
and said
were
Congress must
probably-
pursue a bold
you were
and
probably right
robust
about
course of
that.
action It makes no sense to pinch pennies when so many
I hope we
Americans
see Baby
are
Yoda.
struggling.
I missed that
The
kid.
House of Representatives
Ray J's World says
plans to vote on the
80%
budget
chance that we're going to get a
resolution
Han Solo.
As for the
in
Senate,
the
Schumer
future.
has not
And
confirmed
we're not talking
when
about
they'll
a
be voting
Solo
on the
Part 2.
resolution.
We're talking about
It is
in
important that this
the
gets
streaming
completed
platform in the
before Trump's
shows
impeachment
during the
trial, which
Mandalorian
starts
era.
next week. At that point, the Senate
It
will
would be
need
nice
to
if we
devote 6
did.
days a week to the trial,
50%
and there's
in
no
any show,
indication
Skywall,
of how long the
Roberto
trial
Rose.
will take.
So
Let me
70%,
summarize
let's
for
just
you
say
the Democrats'
69, that guy
game
says,
plan in passing
dirty.
the stimulus
You dirty
package.
man.
So they're going to be using reconciliation to pass the
let's
stimulus
see.
package because there's no way that they can get 10 Republican
100%
senators to vote
on,
yes to
not
a
fire.
$1.9 trillion stimulus bill. So the game plan is to have
So
all
I'm
50
guessing
Senate
you're saying, Andrew, that
Democrats
100%
vote
that he
yes
will be
to the bill.
back?
50 Senate
So I don't know. That's an
Republicans
interesting
are expected
thing
to vote
for
no,
sure.
so it's going to be a tie.
Let's move on in the
50.
article
Then the vice
and see
president, Kamala
what
Harris,
happens next,
will
because
cast
some of these characters,
tie-breaking votes.
I think that you
She'll
guys are
vote
going to
yes,
like the
and then the
idea,
stimulus
and the
package will
percentages will be
pass.
much higher.
But you know I can ruin this whole
So
game
let's
plan?
go down. I'm skipping
Senator Joe
Emperor
Manchin.
Captain.
Senator
Emperor
Joe
Palpatine.
Manchin is the only Democrat senator that might vote
I don't think there's
no.
any chance we're
If
going to see
Manchin
Emperor
votes
Palpatine.
no, he can single-handedly ruin the
I
whole
say very
reconciliation
low.
attempt because
And if
without
we do
his
see
votes,
Emperor
the
Palpatine,
Democrats would
what
only
are the
have
percentage
49
chances that
votes.
you're going to watch?
Senator Manchin has
That's what I
openly
want to
spoken
know.
out
If
against
we,
the $1,400
let's just
stimulus
imagine that
checks,
we're
as well as
speaking
the
directly
Democrats'
to Disney.
plan for using
Do you want to see
reconciliation.
Emperor
Manchin
Palpatine
said about
in Rangers of the
reconciliation,
Republic?
we need to work
Do you want
together,
to see him
and
in
that's
The
not a way
Mandalorian?
of working together.
Do you want to
This
see
is
Emperor
actually a real
Palpatine in
concern,
Ahsoka?
which is why it
I don't.
prompted President Joe
Zero,
Biden
zero,
to
zero.
reach out
Disney,
to
please
Manchin
hear us.
to make sure that
John
he's on
Favreau,
board
we know that you
with
listen to the fans.
Democrats.
You proclaim that you
If you're
do.
enjoying
So
this
we're
news
telling you
summary,
right
please
now,
be sure to
the
subscribe.
answer is
I
no,
try to
and we're
present this
getting some
information to you
big-time
nice and
no's right
simple
here.
to
So
bring you clarity.
please
And
take
thank you
that
so much
as
for your
evidence.
support.
Nick, do you
In
want to see
political
Emperor
news,
Palpatine
Trump has
in Rangers
officially
of the
hired David
Republic,
Schoen and Bruce
Ahsoka, or The
Castor
Mandalorian?
as his new legal
Nope.
representation
Nope, he's
in his
dead.
impeachment
He's been
trial.
dead since
Trump's
1983.
former legal
All right.
team, they quit
So,
because Trump
anyways,
insisted on mounting
let
a
us
defense
continue on
based on
in
his
the
claims of
article.
election fraud. Trump's new lawyers,
Chewbacca.
they have convinced Trump
Will we
to
get
go with the
a
defense
Chewbacca
that impeaching a
inside
former president
any of
is
these shows?
unconstitutional.
In the Aftermath
This is
series,
seen
Chewbacca
as
and
his
Han
best
plot
defense
to liberate
because
the
US
home planet
Constitution
of
has
Kashyyyk.
no
Chewie's plan is to
explicit
release
instructions for impeaching a
large
former
web weaver
president.
spiders of
In
Dominion,
fact, this is
the
the
Star
main
Destroyers
issue
responsible
that the House
for
of
overseeing
Representatives is
Kashyyyk.
tackling
After the
in their
Wookiees retake control of their
pre-trial
planet,
The House
Chewbacca
submitted
parts
their
way with
legal
Han and
brief,
enjoys retirement
in
at
which
home
they
with his wife
argued
and son
why
for
the
several years.
Constitution allows
I think
for
his son is
consultation.
Chewbacca.
Their brief
Chewbacca
also
eventually
uses
rejoins
Trump
Han to help out
inciting
in
supporters
Last Shot
at
and
once,
later
and
in
encouraging
their
them to
smuggling
launch an
activities.
attack
He is with
against
Han
the US
when they board the
government.
Millennium Falcon
In
in The
spite of
Force
these
Awakens, and we're
accusations,
going to stop right
there is
there
no
because that's what's going to
denying
get
that
into
Trump is still
Rey
immensely
and all that
popular
kind of
with the
stuff.
Republican voters. That's why the majority of
So,
Republican senators are refusing to convict him, which makes it
Nick, you got anything
unlikely
you
that
want
the
to say
Senate
about a
will get the 67
possible
votes
Chewbacca
needed to
reemergence?
convict him. The Senate is also pressured to wrap
I
up the
think if
trial
we get
quickly,
Han, we'll
perhaps
get
in a matter
Chewie.
of days,
Yeah.
so that they
And
can
I think
focus on
it'll either
Biden's
be the
other goals,
Boba
like
Fett
stimulus
show
relief
or
and
the
confirming
Lando
his
show.
nominees.
Right.
But that depends
I'd
on many
give it,
factors, including the number of witnesses that will be allowed and the
80%
types of
chance
questions that will be
that we
allowed.
get-
So we'll have to
get
see,
both of them back.
wait and see how this all plays out.
Even just Chewie.
Regarding
Yeah.
the COVID-19
If we
news,
get Chewie, I think
experts
we'll
are
get
warning that we're going to see
I
a
agree with
surge of
you.
new COVID
What about R2?
cases
I'm not
in the
even gonna
United
read
States
all this.
in the upcoming weeks.
We already got
They're
him,
blaming the
but-
mutated
We already got
strains,
him.
which
That's
are
right.
more infectious.
If we see
The
Luke,
UK strain
he's
was
dead.
first identified in the US back in
Yep.
December.
I love
but
the fact
it is
that
believed to
R2
have
is
been
still with
around
Luke.
since October.
You know,
Experts are saying,
5
according
years
to that
after Return of the
timeline,
Jedi, they're
there will
still
be a
together.
hurricane of new cases,
and the
with
fact
the
that-
UK strain being the new dominant strain in the US.
Actually, you
The
are in just a
CDC
moment, but it's
urged
going
the
to be
states
what
to
we
give
want
out
to
as many
happen, right?
first doses as possible,
C-3PO.
instead of holding on to second dose reserves. That way,
I
as many
think
people as possible
if we get
will have at
Leia,
least some form of
Agreed.
protection,
Get 3PO.
which will slow down the
Agreed.
spread of the virus. In the United
Lando?
States, we reported 130,759 new cases and 1,881 fatalities on Monday.
Yeah.
This is according to Johns Hopkins University.
I
In
think the
current
percentages
events,
of him being in
Dustin
like Rangers of the
Diamond,
Republic
also known as
might be a
Screech
little
from Saved
lower.
by
I don't
the
know.
Bell,
We'll see how
died
that show
yesterday
does.
at the age of 44.
How do you think the
just
Lando
3
show's going to do.
After he was hospitalized with stage 4 lung cancer. The Reddit stock boom has moved on to silver,
I'm definitely
which
watch
rose
it,
to a price
sure.
of $29.06
Absolutely.
an ounce, marking the largest
want it to be
one-day
great.
rise
It just
since
depends on
2013.
what Lando.
SpaceX, Elon Musk's space exploration
I
company,
love
announced
Solo,
that they will be launching
but I did
a
not like
charity-focused
the Solo
space
movie.
mission. A 4-person crew will spend 5 days orbiting the Earth.
And if we get a Lando that has a crush on a droid,
if you donate
I'm
$10
out.
to St. Jude, then you're entered for a chance to be selected to join them. The trip is scheduled for late fall or winter of this year. Despite an awful year in 2020,
you know that we're going to get Boba Fett. That's 100%.
70% of
Boba
Americans
Fett will show up again in Mandalorian. He will show up in Ahsoka.
last year.
I think.
That's an
we don't know
8%
if we'll see him
increase
in
in the number of
Mandalorian
donors
getting his own
compared to
show.
2019,
So he
when
might not see
62%
him
of
there.
Americans donated
Yeah, but
to charities.
all these shows
More
are
than half
tying
the
in together.
donations they went to healthcare-related
I think it's a
organizations,
good possibility
followed by
we get
animal
him
rights
in,
and religious organizations. That's the news for today. If you enjoyed
but
today's report,
here's
please
where
subscribe.
things
I thank you
get
so much for your
interesting for me.
support, and I wish you a
And this
very
is why
nice
we did the
day.
thumbnail, and I wasn't trying to throw you guys off with the thumbnail. You know, we're speculating, obviously. Now, you got to think about this. And this is what me and Nick talked about yesterday. We've gotten so much of Dave Filoni characters from his time with Lucas. He was with Lucas for 10 years. We're getting so many of his characters. There's rumor of Cad Bane being in the Boba Fett series. We got Ahsoka. We're going to get Rex. You know, you got Bo-Katan. You got all this going on. So it's like a lot of that stuff happened so many years before where we are in the timeline. The original trilogy just got finished. You got to see more original trilogy tie-ins. And it stands to reason for me, if they can pull it off, that these are the ones that you'll see. That we will see a wedge. Whether it's a deep fake, a recast, whatever, I don't know. You will see a wedge, and I think it would be even easier for them to do an Akbar.
I think we'll definitely get Akbar, and I think if we get him, it'll be in the Rangers show, more than likely. I think that's probably where we'll see him at. But yeah, they got to give some more justice to Akbar, because they did not do him justice at all in that sequel trilogy.
Well, Nick, it kind of goes back to what we just talked about. They have got to, at some point, show us more about the New Republic. We got to find out more. It can't be 2 X-Wing pilots show up and save Mando on some ice planet from a bunch of spiders, and that's all the New Republic we get. It has to be more than that. You know, so whenever we get that New Republic, that's when we might see a Leia. That's certainly when we're going to see an Akbar, because that could be done easily from them, anyways, is what I think. So before we move on to the next part of what we're going to discuss, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this, we're talking about, is the retcon already happening? And none of us have caught on to it yet. Like, wow, definitely some interesting evidence to support it. We got some new members. Again, Nick, we've gained 13 new members during this stream, and we've only been streaming for an hour. But this is amazing. Yeah. So we got Zach. Welcome, Zach. Who is now in our member family. If everybody would welcome Zach. Stephen Steele has upgraded his membership to Jedi Knight. Thank you, Stephen. Welcome. Silent Zero is also joined our member family. Butterbean has joined our member family. So Butterbean, Silent Zero, Stephen Steele, and Zach, we greatly appreciate it, man. Welcome to the Echo Base Network member family. We are You Are Echo Base Network, and this video is for you, our friends.
Hola.
And I see some people saying in the chat, Nick, like Softcore 307 says it's his first time here and good afternoon. So for the people who were here for the very first time,
Good to have you, so
welcome to the show, guys. We are Echo Based Network. We are a channel dedicated to keeping the Star Wars that we love alive and celebrating that Star Wars with you. We do this thing together. So thank you guys for being here.
And we typically have our live streams on Saturday nights at 7 o'clock Central. This is just a spur of the moment, random live stream, which we never do. Our shows are normally every Saturday night at 7. We normally live stream once a week, but
That's
here
true.
we are.
Well, here we are. We're going to do this in the summertime, at least once a week.
Yeah.
But
Once
yes.
Coach is off.
Yeah, once I'm out for the summer, we'll do this. We also got a couple of super chats to go through, Nick. Rogue Soul, one of our members, says, I love Dragon Ball Z so much, I got a 4-star Dragon Ball tattoo.
Oh, sweet.
That is awesome. Rogue Soul, you got to send us a picture over Twitter. Let us see that tattoo, unless it's somewhere we don't want to see it.
Or
But
Facebook or Instagram if you're not on Twitter.
yeah, we'd love to see that. So thank you, Rogue Soul, for the $5 super chat. We also got another $5 super chat from Rogue Soul again. So basically, Disney canonized Leia getting cancel culture because of her heritage. Oof. Yeah, isn't that crazy? They shamed her after everything that she had done. I think that's poor writing.
That is very poor writing, and that's the mentality of modern day identity type politics right there, put into these Star Wars stories. You know, that sort of stuff doesn't belong in the Star Wars universe. They need to leave that stuff out. People go there to kind of escape the real world political atmosphere, you know. And yes, there's politics in Star Wars. Everybody knows that, but it's not modern day jam down your throat social justice warrior type identity politics.
Absolutely. And we got another super chat here from Mexican Iron Man, our executive producer here at EBN. He says, this $10 bill is to thank you two for the rare gem of hearing your Alabama accents combined with your brilliant analysis slammed into a talk about pansexual characters, hit breaks, left turn. Mexican Iron Man, you are a mess, but we love you, my friends. So anyways, Mexican Iron Man, Rogue Soul, and Rogue Soul twice. Thank you guys so much for that awesome super chat. You are Echo Based Network, and this video is for you, my friends. All right, Nick, are you ready? Oh, we also want to tell everybody this is not an unusual live stream. We are proceeding just like we always do.
Yep.
The first half of our show, we're doing all these things. We're going through the news. We have featured guests, not on this show, not this one, but typically we do that. But the second half of our show, we're going to have our epic pop-in sessions. So anything that we've discussed today, Nick's going to throw that link out there and let you guys pop into the show. We are going to have a little bit more guidelines because we don't want to be here for 5 hours.
Yeah, because I got to work. I got to be off the stream in 50 minutes.
Well, I can keep going. Going. But I've got a little bit more time than that. But Coach does have a wife and children coming home from school, even though I stayed home with one of them today. That's why we're streaming today, because I'm home with my baby who's not feeling good. But so anyways, Nick, here we go with this news here. There's been some videos that have come out lately, and I don't want to mention. If you guys want to know in the chat where you can find some of these videos, we'll show you. Everybody knows that if we mention certain names, you're going to know where a lot of this stuff comes from. But there's some great thoughts that have been occurring lately about, is the retcon happening right beneath our feet, right in front of our eyes? And the process has already started, and we haven't caught on, and now we're starting to. I think that is an interesting thought. I know that there's a lot of people that aren't going to think that this is possible, not going to be happening. Mr. Wren right here, nothing is going to be retconned. You certainly could be correct, sir. You definitely could be correct.
And I don't think anything's going to be retconned either. I think the position we're pointing towards is that it's just going to be a different timeline of existence for the characters that we have right now in these shows with Favreau and Filoni.
Yes. So you're exactly right. Nick and I did a video last week, guys, where that's the position that we took. We think there's going to be two alternate realities. One that leads to the sequel trilogy and one that does not. And I think that is definitely more possible. There's not going to be a all-out 100% retcon. It's going to be a pseudo-retcon.
Yeah, the sequels will always be there. They're not going anywhere.
Yep.
We don't think they're going anywhere.
Yep. And they're going to die a very slow death, too, because people aren't going to be watching them.
You know what? I thought about this the other day. I would be curious to see, and I'm sure Disney has these numbers on the back end, but I would love to see the view counts of all the Star Wars movies on Disney Plus right now, as of today. And I guarantee you, those sequel trilogy movies are at the bottom of the list.
Right.
View count.
Right.
I would bet my whole year's salary on it.
So there is a lot of thoughts, like Mr. Rand right here. This is a good thought, Rand. Remember, Grogu used force healing. But to counterpoint that, we've seen force healing before, especially in the EU, and we know that they're pulling from the EU, and in games such as all of the Jedi Knight series and Dark Force games. So, I'm not sure that that's evidence that can really support that it's going towards a sequel trilogy and there's not going to be an alternate timeline. But all that being said, I do want to get into some notes that I took, and I want to share these with you. And Nick, you can stop me at any time and comment on any of this that you want to. And we definitely want to hear from the chat. What do you guys think about all of these things? So here's the main theory, is that Snoke, the main theory is tied that Snoke came from Grogu, from Grogu's blood. But in The Mandalorian, they never got Grogu's blood. It didn't happen. Luke showed up and rescued Grogu before they were ever able to get Grogu's blood. So if that's true...
Well, did Moff Gideon say that he got all the blood he needed from Grogu in that last episode?
No, I think that he said that he would.
I'm pretty sure that they got it, but they might not have actually been able to use it. Like, I think they got his blood, and I think it's on that ship they had it, but I don't think they actually got to a facility and all that.
Okay.
And actually got to
all right. Well, since you're throwing that counterpoint, I'll go ahead and reveal the source. You had me watch a video from Lore Star, and he laid out a massive argument that the sequel trilogy, the divide is already occurring, and according to him, Grogu's blood was never obtained. So that's something that maybe we need to go look into.
Yeah, that was the one thing in his video that I thought could be off.
All right. Well, let me continue then, and we'll just see. Because if he's off there,
he could be off everywhere.
But he is. His entire argument just got. You just destroyed the entire second half of our show here.
But no. But I'm not really, because the only point I'm making is that they actually got his blood. They just never got to use it because Luke came and rescued them, and they didn't get to use it. So he's still on point.
Right.
With that.
All right. Well, let's look. So his main theory is that Snoke came from Grogu's blood, but in The Mandalorian they haven't gotten Grogu's blood yet. That's what he says. He says some think that Palpatine was in possession of Grogu during Rise of Skywalker for making the Snoke clones. And this was in another timeline where Ahsoka died. Let me say that again. Some think that Palpatine was in possession of Grogu during the Rise of Skywalker for making all of those Snoke clones. The Snoke clone came directly from Grogu. So, and this was in another timeline where Ahsoka died. If not for Ahsoka, Grogu would not have reached out with the Force, and Luke would not have rescued all of them. The sequel era is a timeline where Ahsoka died. In the sequel timeline, Luke didn't have any apprentices. And this is an interesting point.
Yes.
Grogu's blood or not. In the sequel timeline, Luke did not have any apprentices until he took Ben at 10 years old. That's canon. That's in the comics. His first apprentice was Ben Solo when he turned 10 years old.
And this is only 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and they didn't have Ben till 1 year after Return of the Jedi.
That's right.
So he's only 4 years old at this point.
Yep. So in Mando, we see Luke take Grogu for training. Grogu will be his apprentice. So right there is a huge fork in the road. And he goes on, without Grogu's blood, there is no Snoke. So there is no Ben turning to the dark side. That's one of his main premises. In the alternate timeline, the one that most of us are pulling for, they couldn't make a Snoke. And because they couldn't, even though that some people think that we saw a Snoke, they couldn't make a Snoke. So because of that, Ben never turns to the dark side because Snoke couldn't reach out to him and get in his ear. So, anyways, and again, we're not telling you guys what we think. I'm basically just reporting on one of the main theories that's out there, and you guys tell me what you think. But I will tell you that I think you guys are right. Gideon says we got everything we needed. You're absolutely right. I remember that.
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess he could be lying. I wouldn't think so. And you got to think this too. And I wondered, like, when I was saying what I was saying and reading it, and we were talking, and I was reading the comments, they had Grogu for a minute.
Yeah.
Now, where was the doctor? Maybe that's why Lore Star doesn't think they got his blood, because Dr. Pershing wasn't there, was he?
No, he was on his way to that ship.
Yeah. So I think that's why he believes Gideon's lying. They never got Grogu's blood because Dr. Pershing wasn't there to do it. He's the clone doctor. You can't make a Snoke without Grogu's blood and Pershing. Ooh. See, Lore Star didn't go into detail there. Pershing's not there. All right, well, anyways, so, again, without Grogu's blood, there is no Snoke, there is no Ben turning to the dark side. The sequels is what would have happened if Ahsoka had died. What happens to Luke turns into a what-if scenario. The entire sequel trilogy, J.J. Abrams, Ryan Johnson, turns into a what-if trilogy. And the alternate universe timeline is Ahsoka's alive, Luke never turns into the hermit, Grogu's the first student, everything's different. Ben Solo does not turn to the dark side. Tim Myers, one of our people here, will be Kylo Ren, but not Kylo Ren, he'll be Ben Solo.
Yeah.
And to finish it off, when Rey became all of the Jedi, here's another premise that he uses. You guys already know where I'm going with this. When Rey at the end of The Rise of Skywalker became all of the Jedi, which was a cringe moment for me, you hear all of the dead Jedi, including Ahsoka. And then the fans after the movie were like, wait, what? And, Dave Filoni came out and said that doesn't mean she's dead. That's not a denial. And he didn't know at the time, I don't think. But that's not a denial.
He came out wearing that shirt, Ahsoka Lives.
Right. Yeah. So I think that is like a whoa, she is dead in that timeline. And I think they're getting this whole thing solidified right now. And I think Jon Favreau's listening, and so is Filoni. Luke's story in the sequels was already written. But when Luke took Grogu in Chapter 16, everything changed. Everything changes. And it's not going to be the same Luke that you get in The Force Awakens, sitting on Octo by himself. There are two alternate realities, one where Ahsoka lives and one where she dies. What do you guys say? Nick, I'll look through the comments and highlight them as you kind of give your opinion.
Um, yeah, we obviously heard Ahsoka's voice at the end of the sequel trilogy. Now, again, by the time the Rise of Skywalker happens, this is 30 odd some years later. She could have died, you know, 5 years before The Force Awakens, for all we know. So, I understand that point is being a possibility on people saying that all roads are going to lead to the sequel trilogy. But I think there's two. Well, there's really three possibilities here. One, they go a different timeline, and we have a different future for Luke and all these characters, which I'm 100% on board for and want to see happen. Two, they don't go on a different timeline, but completely ignore the sequel trilogy and only write stories during this time frame and keep it within that time frame and kind of ignore the sequels and keep them over in the corner off to the side, you know. And three, which I hope they 100% do not do, is they start doing tie-ins and build-ups to everything about the First Order, Snoke, the Emperor, all that, and completely tie in and explain the sequel trilogy. Now, I've heard a lot of people in the comment sections of our videos say, you know, that they could do sort of like what they did with the Clone Wars, to where the Clone Wars made the prequels better. They could do that with all these live action shows and make the sequels better, but I don't see how you can make the sequels better no matter what you do, because they completely, I mean, those aren't the characters. Those characters in the sequel trilogy were completely out of character. Now they could do some stuff to make us believe that that's the type characters they turned into, but I still wouldn't buy it. So I'm hoping that they don't do that. Again, it's all speculation at this point. We don't know what's going to happen. That could very well be the case. But I think Disney is listening to the fans, or more so Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau, I think a little bit more than Filoni. I think Favreau is really listening to the fans, and maybe even Kevin Feige to a certain degree, and whatever involvement he has. But I think if the fans are continuing to stay vocal, continue to come on platforms such as our channel and other channels out there that are not wanting these characters to be destroyed any further, and to give us stuff like what we got in the last episode of Mandalorian Season 2, and we are constantly voicing our opinions on this stuff. I think they're going to hear us. They definitely have the ability to write those storylines and to go in that direction away from the sequel trilogy. At this point, all we can do is keep our fingers crossed and hope that they actually do it.
So here's something that I want to address with everybody about this, and I want to hear what you guys think. Nick and I have already been through this, so we just gave you a lot of the information that we got over from Lore Star, and a lot of people are building onto that. And, you know, we covered this the other night in our Saturday night live stream, where we talked about the Jon Favreau interview. And, you know, a lot of people saw that interview completely differently than me and Nick did. And Nick and I have already laid out the foundation for why it is that we believe what we believe. We came out with this list, Coach's 10 points of reason, 10 reasons why Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are doing the alternate timeline based on what the man said himself. And if you haven't seen that, you need to go back and watch that video. But I want to bring up the last thing that Jon Favreau said. I'm pulling that interview up right now. Nick, you can paraphrase it if you want to while I'm looking for it.
basically he said that if you are not listening to the audience that you're making your material for, and they're not happy with what you're doing, then you're not doing your job.
Yep. And I got the article up right now. I just got to find.
And Doomcock actually did a video covering a lot of this stuff yesterday, and he actually made a lot of the same